Hi guys, today I'm back with a video. Today I'm going to be talking about how I discovered my psychic and medium abilities as an adult. So, um, I am not, I'm just going to come out and say like my abilities, they are not fully nurtured and developed by any means. However, this is not an experience that I've had, like that I've been having since I was a kid. I did not have any of these experiences that I can remember or that I know of until I was an adult. Okay, so the first time that at the time, I didn't even realize I had these abilities, but I had an experience. My first time having an experience with my psychic and medium abilities was 2 years ago, in 2019, at the beginning of 2019. So around that time, excuse me, I started to meditate every day because I was just in a place of wanting to make some changes in my life, wanting things to be better, and also I was wanting to create like mental clarity for myself. So I started meditating every day on my like I worked from home at that time, and I would get a 15-minute break in the morning, and that's when I would do my meditation. So normally when I would do my meditation, like I would basically just zone out and not remember, or just really not remember anything that happened, because my, how can I explain it? I didn't have like the consciousness wasn't there. It was there, but I don't remember. It was like I would just zone out, have my experience, and then I would just feel better afterwards. But this one particular time, I had meditated and I became consciously aware of my experience. And what I experienced was, I saw an image of some girl's mom that I used to work with, and I only knew who she was because I had seen her pictures like years before. So I was like, I knew who she was. And along with seeing her image, I received like a crystal clear message, and it was like telepathic, because it wasn't words. It was just like a knowing, like, I don't know, it was telepathic. And she just basically wanted me to tell her daughter that she loves her. And then in the moment, I became very frightened because I had never had that experience before. I didn't expect to have any experiences like that. I was just trying to clear my mind. That's it. I didn't want anything extra. Um, yeah, I just went into it to clear my mind, and I ended up receiving information that I was uncomfortable with. It wasn't that she was scary, it was just that the experience was so new to me and I wasn't expecting that. So that kind of frightened me. And then I was just like, in the moment, I'm like, I'm going through a few different emotions. So on one end, I'm like I knew what she wanted me to do, but then I'm like, no, I'm not doing it. This girl's gonna think I'm crazy. At that moment, I thought I was a little crazy. There was a split second where I'm questioning it, like, am I making this up? But there was no way I could make that up. Like, this girl was never on my mind. Her mom was never on my mind, and there was a small part of me too that knew that it actually happened. But because I was frightened, I just kind of wanted to bury the whole experience. Like, a part of me felt like, of course, afraid. Another part of me felt like, how is this girl gonna think of me? And then another part of me felt like, I felt like it was kind of intrusive. Not that I know that her mom didn't mean any harm, but it felt like, I don't know, I just kind of tried to reject the experience because it felt intrusive, because I wasn't expecting that thing to happen. Now looking back at it, I don't feel that way at all. But at that moment, that was where my mind was, and those were my thoughts. So at that time, I didn't even look at it as a gift. I didn't know it was a gift. It felt like more of a mistake. It felt like more of an accident, an intrusion, those things. So after that experience, I honestly had stopped meditating daily. I don't know that I was doing it at all. If I was still meditating, it was just like sporadically here and there. And also around that time, I became really busy um, with a business that I had started up. So after that, like I want to say like a year probably went by, and I had I guess when my mind was more mentally ready for that, I had wondered like why. I started to wonder like, well, why didn't I matter of fact, sorry, I'm thinking because I don't think I started thinking about it maybe until 2 years after. It was probably 2 years after. So, a year went by, and I pretty much forgot about it, that it even happened, until one day, and this was before my ayahuasca experience. I was meeting with the group with Valerie Love on Clubhouse. We would talk every morning about different topics and things like that. And one day I decided to share. I decided to share, like, because on Fridays we would do like our wins for the week, and I decided to share one of my wins for the week. And somehow we got into this conversation that had nothing to do with my wins, where I told my win, and then I had also told that I was very interested in past life regressions and it's quantum healing hypnosis therapy, because that was something that I really wanted to do. Well, I still actually want to learn it and do it. And she had asked me a question. She asked me, have I ever had any supernatural experiences? And then I'm like, yeah. And then I told about that experience, and she was like basically telling me that you have a gift. And I'm like, I never had thought about it before then, And then I want to say, I'm thinking previous to that moment, because before then I still didn't look at it as a gift. I kind of had wondered why it had never happened again after that day. Because I was actually talking to a friend, and we talk about all these spiritual things. Like, I would say since the experience, my mind had opened up a lot more to like experiences like that. And then there was a part of me that kind of wondered, like, do I have these abilities? But I brushed it off simply because I'm like, most people, well, the only people I've heard of who have psychic medium abilities are people who have been having experiences with spirits since they were young children. And I'm like, I never had those experiences. I'm like, no, that's not, my thing. Or that's not anything that has anything to do with me, basically. So I guess I kind of look at it as something that just happened, and that was that. But I had started to wonder, once my mind opened up more, I wondered why, like, it had never happened since then. So after that conversation, I was kind of looking at things different. The conversation with Valerie on Clubhouse. And I was like, wow, well, maybe. A part of me was like, well, maybe I do have a gift. And then the other part of me was like, well, no. Because psychic mediums, they have this ability throughout their whole life. So it just can't be. And afterwards, I started like just doing research on different mediums and stuff, and I still have yet to find anybody who discovered their abilities when they were an adult. So after that, I started to meditate. I started to get back to meditating, because 2 years later, I still wasn't meditating consistently. So I started meditating again, and I was like more open to those experiences. So when I started meditating again consistently, I probably had one or two more experiences, or three. Sorry. I had 3 more experiences after that with spirits. And then, but it was still uncomfortable to me at that point. But after I did ayahuasca, it's like it became a lot more comfortable to me because of the information that I received. But I don't know, it was just interesting to me because I kind of disregarded the fact that I had a gift, because I'm like, I try to compare myself to other people and can't do that. So yeah, in the near future, I do plan to nurture my gifts a lot more so I can discover more of my abilities. But that was my very first time actually seeing and receiving a message from a spirit. There was a time Oh yeah, and if you're wondering, I didn't pass the message along to that girl at that time. And there's one more thing. Sorry, I almost forgot this. So right after, well, not right after. So that happened in the morning whenever I received the message from the girl's mom. And then I decided that I wasn't going to give it to her. I just didn't feel comfortable. I went on Facebook later that day, like maybe that afternoon, and I was scrolling, and I saw her post. She posted like a status and a picture of her mom saying happy birthday and talking about she loves her and misses her so much. So it was like, at that moment, that was my confirmation that what I experienced was real. And there was a small part of me that kind of wished, like, dang, I should have just told her, because that probably would have gave her comfort that day, you know, being that that was her mom's birthday. And she was, you know, probably feeling really emotional at that time. But that was my confirmation, because I received that message prior to her even posting her status. And yeah, it's just interesting overall. Very interesting. But what I was going to say before that, I'm sorry, I'm all over the place this morning. I did have an experience prior to that, but it wasn't me seeing or hearing any spirits. It was like during Thanksgiving, the Thanksgiving right before that happened in 2019. So it was like Thanksgiving 2018. It was like everybody had left, and I was just doing the dishes and listening to music, and I was really, I don't know, I was just in a really high vibrational mood, very, just feeling really good. And then this song had came on that had reminded me of my friend that I had like went out with one day, who lived in another state. And after hearing that song, it was like I just received a download of information that I needed to reach out to her sister, who was also one of my old friends. And just I was basically given like information on what I needed to talk to her about or say to her. I had to put it in my own words, but it was like a download of information that I needed to reach out to her. And the feeling I got was that she was kind of like in distress, or just in a very down feeling place, like just not feeling good at all. And then I just knew what I needed to say to her, so I ended up reaching out to her and saying what I needed to say. But in the beginning, because the beginning of the message, because I didn't trust myself 100%, and I'm like, I just said, I don't know if you need to hear this or not, because I'm like, what if she's completely fine? She doesn't need any words. And I'm just looking crazy, because back then I cared too much about what people would think of me. I said that in the beginning of the message, and it ended up being I ended up being spot on. Like whenever she messaged me back, because I sent her a message on Facebook, she was in tears. Like she told me that she was in tears, she was crying, and she was just very thankful that I had reached out to her, given her you know, the words that I gave her, even though it didn't come specifically from me. It was like I received that message from, I don't know, from the quantum field. And yeah, I just knew I received the feeling and the knowledge that I needed to just reach out to her and say certain things to her. So at that time, I didn't even look at that as a gift. I just looked at it because I was listening to Abraham Hicks a lot around that time. I just looked at it as me receiving like a nudge, and then following that nudge or suggestion to do whatever it is. So I knew it was coming from source, but I didn't think of like, oh, I have this gift to. I didn't think of it as a gift. I just thought of it like everybody is able to reach this point if they vibrate high enough in a moment. So I just thought it was just like something that happened at that moment, because I was feeling good. I was able to receive some type of, I don't know, information. But now I know that was a part of my gifts, and I'm still discovering so much more about myself. I have a lot to learn and discover about myself, but since then I feel like I've discovered a lot of interesting things. So if you have any experiences with having psychic medium abilities. Feel free to share your experience in the comments below. If you have any questions, go ahead and put those in the comments. And if you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. I hope that everyone has a beautiful day, and